sunny days are here again. When I named it that, I had no idea we'd go from cold and gray to 90-degree heat. The sun is definitely here. What we're really talking about today is a sunny perspective, because the best thing that you can do for aging is keep your positivity, adaptability, and just be able to roll with things. And so we're going to be talking today about tools you can implement and things you can do to keep your mind active, to keep your body active, and to be as healthy and happy as possible. How are we doing on that PowerPoint? I will try it. Do you think the clicker will work this month? We'll see. What do I hit? Somebody's going to have to run it for me. Okay. All right, so we want to thank our education partners. These are all the partners that we have that help us fund not only the seminar series, but the communication that we provide to you and the television show. Next slide. Okay. Help. If somebody could run the slides for me, that would be great. That's what's going to keep us on track. Now, this is what I mean about a sunny perspective. I came in today, there's no computer, no podium, no microphone, no flag. That really gets me. But we can stay calm in chaos. So I'm your host, Katherine Ambrose. I'm a realtor by profession. I've been in housing my entire life. My husband, Randy Ambrose, back there is setting up tables. He and I work together with our daughter, Jillian. And what we discovered is that our senior clients needed a lot more from us, we felt. That as a realtor doing a really good job guiding our clients, we wanted to be informed and be able to be more than just somebody that puts the sign in the yard. And so we have gone deep into research and training. I'm a senior real estate specialist, senior housing professional, downsizing coach, senior move manager. You'll see those are all trademarked. There's a lot of effort behind all of those things. And I'm so lucky to be able to be a television producer and a host at PBS Kansas, because that helps all of the professionals in the room and all of you have a voice on public television, and we reach almost the entire state of Kansas. It's an incredible opportunity, and we fund it through our education partners, through our sponsors. So we're completely self-funded. There's no salary, there's no compensation. It is an effort by the community and the professionals in the room. So if you could applaud the professionals that are here supporting us today, I would really appreciate it. And further, if you would visit them, talk to them today. And by the way, professionals, you're welcome to have a seat at the tables. So don't feel like you have to stand. You can run back to your table at the end. But please visit with the professionals that are here today. Find out what they have to offer. They have brought additional education for you to collect, and they bring that every month. Okay, next slide, please. All right, if everyone could silence their phones and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Veterans, if you'd like to come up and help lead us, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, veterans, for your service. All right, next slide, and next. So what is Empowered Senior? Do we have anyone brand new today? Thank you. I knew we had some. We always have people that are new. Who's been coming since the very beginning? All right, going on 4 years. My brochure ladies. These were the first 2 women. Would you stand? Oh, come on. They were the first 2 to walk in. January of 2019, I was so happy to see their faces and know that people would come to hear what we put together. And so we took a photo together, which I use all the time. So Empowered Senior, we're now a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, thanks to Busy D back there, Dee Haskins with Busy D Bookkeeping. It was her idea to turn this into a nonprofit, and without her, we could not do it because she takes care of all of those things. Next slide, please. Thank you, Brian Spear, for running that. The Empowered Senior focus is housing and quality of life. Period, end of story. So we are all about housing. Where you live matters, and where you might live tomorrow matters. That is critical to your life, and it's where you celebrate and where you think, just everything. So housing and quality of life is our focus. Next slide. This is what we do. We provide in-home consults, senior living guidance. Today, Bretta Stark, where are you? Bretta Stark, she's out working the tables. She is going to take one of our clients, a husband and wife, to go see their first senior living community. We provide downsizing support, senior move management, education, public television. And then we have the resources for real estate and all other aging services. So anything you might need, you can call our number. Next slide. So we want to talk about living in place. So we hear aging in place. What does aging in place mean? Stay where you're at. What did you say? Growing old. That's why we crossed off aging and put living, because that's really what we're doing. Of course, from the time we're born, we're aging every day, but we're living, and we want you to make the most out of your life. Living in place is a concept to preserve your ability to control your own life, your physical independence, and plan your future to the best of your ability. So that might be doing adaptations in your home to make it work better for you and so that it's safer and more comfortable for you. Or it might be selecting another location where you can live in place better. It doesn't have to be the quad level or 2-story that you raised your children in. It can be something that works for your life better today. Next slide. And Downsizers Club, we mix in a little conversation about downsizing all the time. But if you're kind of a do-it-yourselfer or a planner, we have a course for you to take, and there's more information on the website. We have more information here. You can visit with us about it anytime. We just launched the very first one, and some of our participants are here today, and we really appreciate that. It will help you plan for the future, either to get a downsizing move accomplished right now, or eventually, or just be ready just in case. So that's what that's about. Next slide. All right, these are our seminar sponsors. Mariner Wealth Advisors, Blue Stem Communities, Heston, Newton, and they have Adult Day Center in Hutch. Comfort and Love Senior Care Homes on the east side, brand new, gorgeous. KMH, we have our KMH rep here today. Thank you for being here. Providence Home Health, Pam. And Oxford Senior Living, Des is there, and I think she has someone else with her too. If you go back and see Des, that's where all of our stuff is too. And a lot of things that we're going to be talking about are back there. So you want to go back there and get that. Next slide. Television sponsors, Blue Stem, American Senior Benefits, they've sponsored the television show since the first year, and Sedgwick Plaza, they're going into their second year. Next slide. All right, with that, let's get started. So no matter where you live or your circumstances, enjoying life today really does matter. It's important, I think most people would agree, to do the best you can every single day to make your life enjoyable. And it also matters not only for today, but also for tomorrow's future self. So be kind to your future self by plugging in and doing things like you are today, and I hope some of you will go out and enjoy the gardens. This is how you can stay sunny. And with that, I'd like to go to the next slide and bring up our speaker. Our headliner today is Ray Wills, and he has been on Broadway. I'll let him tell you a little bit more, and you're welcome to ask questions. He's been on Law and Order, Guiding Light, a lot of television shows, and he's got a lot to share with us about the trend of art and aging. It's an important concept that's really gaining momentum, and we're just going to spend the rest of the day talking about how to nourish your mind, body, and soul. So Ray, if you'd come up. This is our first Broadway star and television celebrity to join us. Here you go, Ray.
Thank you. Well, you get to see 3 of me at once while I'm speaking. Well, good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's nice to see so many empowered seniors together. I happen to be 62 years young, and I have just recently begun what I call my early semi-retirement. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But my entire career has been in the arts and teaching arts. And I just think it's so important, and we all know this. It's all about, as we mature, keeping our bodies and our minds active and healthy. And sometimes we forget that we also need to keep our soul active and healthy and fulfilled. Creativity is the spice of life. You know, sometimes I think it's almost like, to use an analogy, you know, life is a banquet. Every day is a different meal. It doesn't have to be the same meal because you're the chef, and you can cook whatever you'd like. You want to have something that's healthy and good for your body. You got to use your brain to remember everything you need for the recipe. You got to remember the recipe. But where creativity comes in, that's the seasoning. That's the spice. That's what we can add and change every single day. And a lot of that, when we talk about the arts, it's being creative, but it's wonderful to look at art, but it's even better to do art. And we all have, that might be for me. Oh, I thought my time was up. So I'm just going to speak to you a little bit, tell you a few stories and some ideas and things. And then just before you get too bored, we're going to take an intermission. And so then we'll talk more later. I guess we're going to have questions and whatever else like that. So I started out, I grew up here in Wichita, and I was a pretty shy little kid. I was raised by my mother. My father passed away when I was very young. And I had a great imagination, but I was pretty shy. And I remember by the time I got to middle school, which is pretty traumatic for all of us if you remember middle school, junior high, I liked to sing, so I joined the choir. And that way I could sing with everybody else. And I didn't have to stand out there and sing solos by myself, and I loved that. And then one day, my music teacher, Miss McFessel, we called her Mac, she said, well, I was in the 8th grade. She said, we're having auditions for Annie Get Your Gun, and you're all going to audition. And I said, no. I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to be up there. And she said, well, come up here by the piano and just sing a few notes. And I went up there. I went up to the piano like this. All the other kids were out there, and I was like this. And I sang very quietly. And she said, do you know you have perfect pitch? And I swear I thought she was talking about baseball or something. I said, well, I don't know. Thank you. Is that good? And she said, well, you're going to be in the play. And I said, no, please, no. And she said, well, we don't have enough boys, so you're going to be in it whether you like it or not. And I was really pretty terrified until we started rehearsing, and I don't know, I just started to make people laugh in rehearsal. And I thought, this is really fun. Talk about empowering, and it started to be really fun. So then I went to high school, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I was in the drama club and the music and everything. And my high school drama teacher said, well, they have this scholarship at Wichita State. If you really like doing this, you should get this Miller Scholarship for theater. And I said, well, I guess so. So I got that, and I went to Wichita State. And after Wichita State, I did so much theater, and I did a lot of local theater as well. And I said to my mother, well, you know what? I think maybe I want to try to be an actor. And of course, the look on her face was a little bit of shock. But she said, well, you know what? You can be and do whatever you want to do. But, she said, maybe you ought to get a master's degree so you have something to fall back on in case it doesn't work out. I said, well, okay. So I went and got a scholarship, went out east to Boston, to Brandeis, and got my master's degree. Then I came back and I said, well, I can't go to school anymore. I've got to go now, try to be an actor. And I told everybody here, I said, yeah, I think I'm just going to go to New York and be on Broadway. And of course, a few people said, wow, you're crazy. And a couple of people said, well, that's great. What are you going to do when that doesn't work out? And I said, well, I've got my master's degree. I got something to fall back on. So then I moved to New York, and you know what? I started working as an actor. And I guess I was lucky, that's for sure, but being lucky is also being prepared and being in the right place so that you know what to do with the luck once you get it, right? And I thought, well, this is kind of fun. This is working out. And I lived in New York City for 25 years, and I was in 4 Broadway shows, and lots of television and regional theater and all kinds of cool stuff. And it felt really empowering, again, to do what I wanted to do and to do what I said I would do, something I had a passion for. So it was a fascinating career. And then after about 25 years, I had done everything I could do. One of the shows I was in on Broadway was The Producers, Mel Brooks' The Producers, which is still one of the biggest hits of all time. We won every single Tony Award, and the day after we opened on Broadway, we sold out every show for the next 2 years. And as an actor, that's security, that's job security, And it was wonderful. And after that happened, I did another Broadway show, and then I was, doing and I was approaching 50, which is still young, thank you, but my agent said, well, you know what? You ought to go, before you get too old, why don't you go out to Los Angeles and do some TV? There's always parts for lawyers and doctors. And I mean, look at me. I said, well, all right, I'll go to L.A. So I went out there for a couple of years, and I did work in television. But let me tell you, as an actor, even if you're lucky, there's still going to be down times when you don't work, and you spend your time auditioning. So I went out to L.A., and I would get a part on a TV show, and I would make all my rent and all my expenses for the month. And then I would sit by the pool and wait for the phone to ring. And I would drive all over Los Angeles every single day, trying to get work. And then 5 or 6 or 7 weeks would go by, and I'd get another job, and that would pay all my bills. And then I would sit by the pool again. And I started to think, you know what? I'm sort of waiting my life away. It's not that I'm not doing what I love, but I'm getting older here, and I want to do other things that can still satisfy my creativity and my passion, but I don't like the waiting part anymore. And I had a friend in Los Angeles named Jason Alexander, the actor. He was on Seinfeld, played George, the little bald guy. And I said, I'm feeling unfulfilled. I've done everything I want to do kind of in show business. And he said, well, you don't have to be here. He said, why don't you go home for a while and teach and give back for a change, And I said, that's not a bad idea. The light bulb went off. So that was about, 9 years ago. And all of a sudden, I called a few people, and Newman University said, well, why don't you come here and teach theater for us? And Butler Community College said, well, why don't you come and teach interpersonal communications for us? And Wichita State said, hey, would you like to teach acting for the camera? All of a sudden, I was busy as I could be. And I was doing something that I loved that I had never done yet. But like my mother said, if you get a master's degree, and you know what, I loved it. I loved it because now I was personally affecting young people's lives with all the knowledge that I have accumulated over my career. And you know, the students liked that because they knew I knew what I was talking about. So I wasn't teaching them out of the book, I was teaching them from life. And that's all of us. We've already lived so many experiences. I don't know, are there any teachers in the room? Or former teachers? There you go. You know what I'm saying. You get to really, one-on-one with a young person, educate them with the knowledge that you've accumulated and lived through. And it's so rewarding. I can tell you, I'm not going to right now, but I can tell you dozens of stories about kids that I helped change their life in a positive way, and I know because they told me. But even if they don't tell you, you can see when you see a kid blossom. And the arts was something that helped me blossom and get out of my shell. And so I've really enjoyed helping kids do that too. When I came back to town and I started teaching interpersonal communications at Butler in Andover, interpersonal communications is different than public speaking. It's really different. The students don't just get up there and make speeches. You talk about the ways we talk and listen and active listening. And it's the art of communication and conversation, which is a dying art. And nonverbal communication, how we communicate with each other nonverbally. And the first day I was there, I was in the teacher's lounge, and another teacher said, what are you teaching, speech? And I said, no, I'm teaching interpersonal communications. And he said, oh, that's terrible. I said, why? He goes, well, you have to talk to them. I said, well, you know, I think that'll be fun. I taught a 3-hour class, and the first hour was conversation. I would give the students a topic, and they would write it in their journal, and they'd come in the next class, and we'd spend the first hour, everybody telling their little story. And the first week or two, they were extremely shy, and by the third week, I couldn't get them to shut up. You know. And it was very rewarding. And teaching theater, of course, because that's something I know how to do. But then we had a little thing called a COVID pandemic a few years ago, which was miserable for all of us. And for me in particular, you know, try teaching acting with kids in masks online. And try teaching interpersonal communication to kids online. It's not online communication, it's interpersonal. It was incredibly difficult. And also, as I've matured, I find that technology is outpacing my ability to understand it. And I said, you know what, maybe it's time, hey, wait a minute, I can collect my pension. All those years that I worked, 8 shows a week, year after year on Broadway, hey, I earned it. So I said, I'm going to let someone who's a little younger have the opportunity to teach, and I'm going to go into a little bit of early semi-retirement. And now I can do what I want to do. I don't have to live by a schedule. You all know what I mean. When you retired, do you remember the first couple of weeks after you retired? I would wake up, you know, at 6, 7 in the morning and jump out of bed and say, oh my gosh, I'm late. Where am I doing? I'm supposed to be somewhere. I didn't have to be anywhere. But I wanted to keep active in the arts. So one of the things I did, Mayor Longwell at the time, I had gone to high school with him. And I met with him a few times about something we could do for the arts community in Wichita. And he got me a little bit of money. And I produced a radio show called Kansas Radio Theater. And we were on for about a year and a half in 30 stations all across the state, based in Wichita, and it was only about Kansas. Our history, our art, our culture, our music. Had guests from every walk of life on the show. We had original radio plays, just like the old days that we did. We had local singers and musicians. It was really a great time. Then the man that owned all the radio stations went bankrupt. So we're on hold, let's say. But you know, it was so fulfilling and rewarding that I was finally doing what I wanted to do on my schedule. And it's not that hard. You just have to do it. Whatever it is you like to do. We know that we can play and keep physically active, bowling leagues, playing cards with friends, whatever this thing called pickleball is. It's apparently very popular. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I will. And we know that we can keep our minds active by reading, socializing, talking to other people. Oh, the art of interpersonal communications. And in fact, I still have a part-time job that I've had for 8 years at the KU School of Medicine here in Wichita. And I've been a part of the program called Standardized Patients. Have any of you heard of this? Hospitals and medical schools all across the country have programs called Standardized Patients. And what that is there's a group of us, a lot of us former teachers, who go into a little mock hospital room at the School of Medicine, and we role play. We pretend to be patients with certain issues. There's seniors, there's middle-aged folks, there's young folks, and we have a scenario, a script. And the medical students come in, and we tell them what's wrong with us, and they have to diagnose. You know, they're practicing. And what my area is coaching them on interpersonal communication. How do they listen to me? How do they speak to me? How do they physically appear to me? Are they too close? Are they invading my space? A lot of kids think that means, you know, it shows they care. And of course, as you know, it's, could you please give me a little room? And the doctors record our little encounters, and the doctors coach the students on their medical knowledge, and I talk to the students about their communication skills. And you know, it's so important. It's so important. One of the first things whenever you get a new doctor, it's a job interview. You know, yes, what they mainly want to do is fix what's wrong with you. But you've got to be able to communicate with them. You've got to feel they listen. And I'll tell you something, young people today, young doctors coming up, they're very sensitive, they're very empathetic. They have more knowledge now about holistic living, you know, and wellness. But their instinct is to fix what's wrong with you. So when you meet a new doctor, it's also, any of us, it's on us to communicate well with them too. You know, they're not always mind readers. And so we have to communicate. It's listening is half of, you know, communicating. We have to talk and listen. So it's incumbent on us to communicate well with our doctors. And that's what the kids learn. And it's so rewarding. It's so fulfilling. I mean, I could tell you a million stories. I won't tell a lot of them, but there was a few years ago, there was a young lady, a first-year medical student. And if you can imagine how difficult that is, there's so much knowledge and things they have to learn. And she was probably 22 or 23 years old, very sweet, very innocent, very nervous. You know, and I'm sitting there telling her what's wrong with me. And what really is wrong with me in this particular role play is that I have a stomach ulcer. But I'm scared it's something more serious. And I said to the young lady, "Doctor, do you think I might have cancer?" And she said, "Well, at your age, I mean, you know, that's what happens." I said, you might want to be a little more sensitive in your response to that question, you know? But it's extremely rewarding, and hey, they have to learn somehow, right? You know? I had a case the other day at the medical school where I played a guy who's having vascular problems, a little bit of what they call COPD and stuff. And in the script, in the scenario, I've been a smoker for 40 years, 2 packs a day, which is very important to the case. And one young woman came in, and in the scenario, I don't want to quit smoking. I've been smoking 43 years. I love it. It's the only thing that makes me happy. I'm not going to quit smoking. 2 packs a day, fine. I'm fine. And most of the students are pretty sensitive about, well, you know, if you want to quit, you know, we have some programs and medications that can help you. And one young woman came in and she said, well, you're going to quit smoking. You're going to quit smoking right away. Don't you want to live? I said, well, I don't really want to do it right now. Well, you're going to. You'd better. I said to her afterwards, you know, see, what this really, the intention is good, but you really lost a patient now. Because a lot of people are going to leave that room and never come back. Not that she was wrong. It's not what she said, it's the way she said it. And a few students later, the young guy came in, and he said, how long have you been smoking? I said, 43 years, 2 packs a day. And this kid said, well, you're not going to like me for saying this, but you really ought to kind of quit or cut down. I said, well, I'm not interested. It's my only joy in life. It's my pleasure in life. I'm fine. He said, you know what you could do? He said, you smoke 40 cigarettes a day. He said, you could get a plastic bag and just put 35 cigarettes in there. And that's all you get all day. He said, try that for a couple of days. And then next week, only put 30 cigarettes in there. And you say, that's it, that's all I get for today. And he goes, after a week or so, you'll have a couple extra packs of cigarettes sitting around you didn't have to buy. And I sat there and I thought, wow, that's kind of a good idea. I think I could do that. And the kid convinced me. In that way, that's communication. And my point of all this is, I still get to perform, and I still get to teach, and I still get to help these young doctors-to-be, so I think it's a very important job, but it keeps me active doing what I like to do and doing something that I can do to give back. And I think that's important for all of us. We all know this, but we don't always do it. Think about all the things we can do. We can dance, paint, sing, play musical instruments, do improv, act, read stories. Everybody knows about somebody that has a book club. Well, one of my ideas is, why don't we have a storytelling club? Why don't we get together and once a week tell each other a story that we've never told them before? I mean, look at all the experiences we've had in our life. There's a comedian I like who just wrote a book. He's our age. And it's called Everything Reminds Me of Something Else. Right? So I do sometimes arts activities at Lake Point Assisted Living. Some of you know Lake Point. It's a big assisted living facility on the west side. They also have one in El Dorado and one in Augusta. And Vicki Straughter, who's one of the executive directors, and I have tried to come up every year with different creative activities for the folks. Get them out of the room. Don't just sit there and watch TV, you know. So I do a one-man play called Give 'Em Hell Harry, which is about Harry Truman. I play Harry Truman. I dress up like Harry Truman, and I tell stories. And there's a few folks that are always very grateful that President Truman came to see them. But after I do this performance for about an hour, we have a question and answer. And we have folks talk about their memories of Harry Truman, whether you liked him or you didn't like him. What were you doing then? How old were you? What were you involved in? What was your job? What was your family? And I'll tell you what, it's just like my kids in interpersonal communication. They're shy at first, and then you can't shut them up. Now, that to me is interactive. They didn't just look at me do it. They enjoyed it. They laughed and had fun, but then they got to be a part of it as well. And that's important, I think. I used to do a lot of television. I was on The Guiding Light for about a year, played a doctor. And I was always a lawyer on Law and Order. Again, look at me. But a lot of the folks at the assisted living watch Law and Order. They run the thing 24 hours a day, on TV. You can't change the channel without Law and Order on. And sometimes I pop up on there. So I've gone out to Lake Point and showed clips of when I was on the show, and I talk to the folks and tell them how it works on TV, how you do it. And they get very involved. And see, they're not just looking at the show the next time. They're thinking about how that's done and if they think that would be fun or not. I got on The Guiding Light really by a fluke. I knew one of the guys on the show, and he just recommended me, and they called me in one day to play a doctor as a practical joke on him to make him laugh. And I was the doctor in the room, and there was one of the young ladies, one of the stars of the show, was dying. Well, of course, she wasn't really dying. Her contract was expiring. And she had about 6 months left on her contract, and they said, well, we'll just kill her off slowly. And then all of a sudden, since I was her doctor, I'm on the show once a week being her doctor because she had 6 months to live. That's how I got that job. So I show the folks clips of that and tell them different stories about it. And they enjoy it. And storytelling is so important because you think about it. As you tell a story, it's like smelling your grandmother's perfume. Those memories come back, right? I think a great idea is to have a story club. And instead of reading a book every week, folks can write a little short story, page or two story about something that happened, and share those stories. And I guarantee you, people love it. They have a lot of fun doing it. One of the things I'm doing now, I decided to write a memoir, specifically about my time in The Producers, since it was such a big monster hit. And there was a lot of stories out of that, Mel Brooks and everybody else. I decided to write a little short memoir about my experience doing that big, huge hit show. And I'll tell you the stories, so many stories, but it was 20 years ago. Your mind does play tricks, right? You ever have that happen? I showed a friend of mine one of the rough drafts of my story, and he said, well, yeah, but Paul wasn't in that. I said, well, of course he was. I can see him like it was yesterday. Like, no, he was in that other show. And I went, oh, crap, you're right. What was I made that up? So, you gotta check your memory. But, I don't know, I just sort of wrote the story, but would you mind if I read you just a little part? Is that all right? I was talking about, again, how I started getting into theater. And just this one little part of it. I was very young when I was in my first play. I grew up in Kansas, which is 1,000,000 light years and another solar system away from Broadway. I had never seen a play, and I certainly never thought about being in one. It was the second year of elementary school, and my teacher, Miss Winona Starnes, she of the cat-eye glasses and severe gray perm, decided one day to have some of us kids read aloud a simple little play from our textbook and enact the parts. The leading characters were Mr. Sun, the hero, Mr. Wind, the villain, and the girl who was in love with Mr. Sun. The supporting cast played clouds and rain and flowers, In order to win the love of the girl, the dangerous and violent Mr. Wind plans to constantly blow clouds across the face of Mr. Sun, thus blocking him from the view of the girl and the whole world. I immediately wanted to be Mr. Sun. He was literally the star of the play. And of course, he got the girl. But Miss Starnes, like so many amateur directors, succumbed to the cliche of typecasting and assigned the role of Mr. Sun to the handsome, blonde, blue-eyed Perk. I have never heard the name Perk again, although it may be a bookcase at IKEA. The role of the girl was given to an iridescently lovely, freckle-faced vision with long, flowing hair named Faith, upon whom I had a terrible crush. And I, with my black hair at the time and quiet intensity, was told to read the part of Mr. Wind. Well, at that tender age, I was far too naive to know that the villain is always the most interesting character to play. For a moment, I silently pouted and brooded, and then I determined that I would not only give a performance that would outshine Mr. Sun, I would be so powerful and realistic that Faith would swoon and perhaps pay some sort of attention to me. We sat in a circle in our tiny little chairs, and while Perk of the Golden Mane stumbled haltingly through his lines, and Faith posed and made cute faces, I stood up and blustered around the circle, wildly gesticulating, grandly proclaiming to the clouds Mr. Sun would never win. Which, of course, he did. He simply burned through the clouds, and Mr. Wind died down and went away to blow again another day. I did not know whether the expression on Miss Starnes' face was one of shock or awe. But I definitely made an impression on my classmates, including Faith, who blushingly shared her lunch with me that afternoon and praised my performance as funny and loud. That's one little part of my story. And you know what? You can write your story too. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to publish that on Amazon Kindle. Because nowadays you can do that. You know, even just a few years ago, you had to write your book and get an agent and then get a publisher to read it and spend months waiting to see if they liked it or not. And then they come and tell you, well, we're not going to publish it. And then you got to start over. Nowadays, you can open an account on Amazon, on Kindle, and you can publish your own darn story. Why not? I'm going to try it. You can sell it, too. You can make a few bucks. I think mine probably could go for $1.99. I'm not going to go crazy, you know. But see, now you have the opportunity. There's so many opportunities for us to stay active and to stay active in the arts. Why don't you try that sometime? Write down your story. It doesn't have to be any longer than that. You'll be amazed at what comes back and how you feel when you relive those stories. So anyway, I'm going to kind of wrap this up by, there's a concept that I like. It's a Japanese philosophy. It's a phrase called wabi-sabi. Not wasabi, not the hot stuff. Wabi-sabi. You know what that means? Oh, well, I guess that's what it means. It's the beauty of imperfection. You don't have to be perfect. In fact, you're not going to be perfect. But there's beauty in not being perfect. There's beauty in the doing. This Japanese aesthetic philosophy is about seeing the beauty of things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. Think about that singer that you love who doesn't have the best voice. It's kind of rough and gravelly, but you love it. It reaches you inside your soul. You know, take a pottery class and make a pot. There's going to be a little flaw in it. That doesn't mean it's bad. That means it's the only one of its kind in the entire universe, and you made it. That makes it special. One thing we wanted to do at Lake Point, and we're still going to do it, during the COVID shutdown, the folks were relegated to their rooms, and they were very frustrated and depressed. Of course, we all were. And I was teaching at Newman, and I talked to the art teacher, and I said, why don't we get the art students to come out to Lake Point and set up all their easels out there outside the windows and do watercolors? And the folks inside their rooms can look out their window and watch them, and they can do their own watercolor. It's not going to go to the Louvre tomorrow. They're not doing it to make $1 million. They're not even doing it for anybody to see it but themselves. But all of a sudden, they weren't just watching the art, they were also doing the art and participating in the art. So whatever it is that you have in your life that you've been an expert at, you should not give that up. Keep doing it and find your own way to express yourself. It's so fulfilling. Again, it's the seasoning on your meal. It's the spice in the food. It's the icing on the cake. Resources are everywhere, including Empowering Aging, Catherine's show on KPTS. My goodness, online, you can go crazy finding all different kinds of activities and places to go and things to do and partake in them. I'm going to do pickleball one of these days, I promise. But I'm going to keep writing, telling my story. I'm going to keep helping the kids at KU Medical School learn how to be a little more diplomatic when you ask them if you have a bad disease. And it's fun. And I'm going to keep doing that. And you should too. Please stay empowered. Thank you very much.
Questions. And then for the professionals in the room that have something to share about arts and activities to nourish mind, body, and soul, I'd invite you to come join the panel or to speak from where you are if you're more comfortable doing that. And then we're going to have a community discussion where we all help give each other ideas and share some testimonies of how you have seen people improve their lives, or maybe you've experienced some kind of transformation by plugging into something. So he was awesome. Yes. All right, so let's get started back here in 2 minutes. If the professionals up here that would like to share would come on up. So we are blessed to have people from Senior Services here today, and they brought information that's back at that table. It talks about all the services that they have to offer, and Stacy also brought information about parks and rec. Like my mom and I have been going to Riverside and playing pickleball, taking pickleball lessons, so pretty fun. So those are just 2 examples of places that you can go very affordably to plug into something new. Okay, so Stacy, are you going to come up front? And Shanna? We never get to intermission. We did this month, but nobody moved. So let's stand up and just take a stretch if you're able to. Stand up and just stretch a little bit. So we've got Shanna coming up, Stacy, Des. Come on up from KMH. That would be awesome. Okay. All right, Becky, do you want to come up? And Brian Spears should definitely come up here. So I don't know how we're doing on chairs, but we'll try to make it work. All right, so let's just take a big stretch and have a seat, and we'll get started on our discussion. Brian, could you hit the next slide for us? So please welcome our panel. And then next slide, please. And the next slide will help us keep on track. So we're going to talk about ideas of things to do, testimonials on benefits, volunteering opportunities, senior employment, if you're interested in that, and tackling mature life tasks. So mature life tasks are what we talk about all the time, and that's kind of getting your ducks in a row with insurance and legal stuff and with clutter and all that stuff. That's why it's called tasks. That's very important. All right, come on up. And Brian, I think we'll be good on that, so you can come on up. All right. And have a seat and let's get started. And the red hat ladies and people that have more information to share, be sure to speak up on this. Okay, let's have a seat and let's begin. And I think Shanna is coming up as well. Let's save a seat for Ray. Okay. Is anyone doing pole walking afterwards? Awesome. Yes, please, because I know they'll have questions for you. Oh. Who would be interested in hearing Ray or seeing Ray do Give 'Em Hell Harry? That sounds intriguing. Yeah. And you'd make a great guest for the television show. We'd love to have you. Well, it looks like some of them are taking a break, so.
Yeah, we have some video of it.
Good. Yeah, that'd be great. I didn't pay attention when the 2 minutes
It really
started.
works, better. It's a live stage show.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly if you want to talk about it, I can get some of the B-roll footage and talk about it. And I mean, when I do it, it's a 2-hour show, but I do an hour version, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, for those of you that are still in the room and people will be rejoining us, let's get started. I'm going to start with Shanna here at the end. We'll have everyone introduce themselves, and then we'll start a little panel discussion.
Thank you, Catherine. Good morning. I'm Shanna Gatchett with Club Parkinson's. Club Parkinson's is a nonprofit that started in September of last year. We are located at the Heskett Center at Wichita State University. And one of the programs that we offer is urban polling. Urban pole walking is a great activity for any age. It actually is an exercise activity that can increase your cardio output by about 20 to 40% just by using the poles. And so this is a class that we also offer here through Empowered Senior right after class is over. So it's a $25 fee for the training class, and there's poles available for purchase, but the $25 actually goes to our nonprofit. So one of the pieces with our nonprofit at WSU is that we offer wellness classes, fitness classes, and it's not only for the person with Parkinson's, but a caregiver as well. So if you happen to know anybody with Parkinson's at any stage, we have people that were just diagnosed last month, and we have people that have been diagnosed for over 20 years. So please share and let me know. We have information in the back if you'd like any more information.
My name is Brian Spear. I'm with Home Health and Hospice of Kansas. We are a locally owned home health, hospice, and palliative care company. Well, that's true. Yeah, we do activities inside of a lot of senior living facilities, some of the senior centers. In fact, I was just talking about drum ball activity out at Orchard Park that's been going on for about a month now, well, several months now. And that activity is now up to almost a full hour-long class of just an in-seat chair type of an exercise where we can raise your cardio and just have some fun.
Good morning. I'm Stacy Braniff with Senior Services of Wichita, and we have, who's heard of Senior Services here? We do the Meals on Wheels, so if you're ever looking for a volunteer opportunity, we're always looking for more volunteers. It's extremely rewarding, and we also have 4 centers in Wichita: downtown, Orchard Park, Linwood, and Northeast. And we do activities. We have Brian that comes out and does our cardio drumming. We have Des that makes jewelry with our seniors. And I invite each and every one of you to join us. Just stop by for a visit. It's only $35 for an annual membership. We do exercises, crafts, storytelling, journaling, saging. Let's think. Pickleball. We also do pickleballs. So if you're looking to get active and stay engaged in your community, I invite each and every one of you to stop by for a visit.
Good morning, guys. I am Des Haynes. I'm at Oxford Villa. We're an active senior apartment community. And I would like to invite everyone out to our Flag Day ceremony. It's going to be on June 14th at 1 p.m. It's going to be a pretty big deal. American Legion will be present, and one of our very own veteran residents will be raising our first flag. So come on out to Oxford Villa and join us.
Good morning, everybody. I am Becky Papa. I'm the Executive Director at Comfort and Love Senior Care Homes. And it is, oh, there we go. There we go, way better. Yeah. So I'll just repeat myself. Becky Papa, Executive Director, Comfort and Love Senior Care Homes on the east side of Wichita. We're near Trinity Academy. We're brand new. And our activities are all over the place. I am a former Montessori teacher. And if any of you are familiar with Montessori, it is all about activities that you can basically do what you want. Things as simple as flower arranging, stringing beads, painting. One of our rooms in our home is a whole gallery display so that all of our seniors' artwork will be hung in that room, and it'll be a revolving display. But anything from playing in the dirt to sewing, quilting. I do a lot of photography. There's going to be a lot of that going on. So I just invite you to come by and just, come see us.
Good morning. My name is Jamie, and I am from KMH, Kansas Masonic Home. And we offer independent living, assisted living, and memory care. In our memory care area, we do behavior-based ergonomic therapy, which is a therapy that keeps our residents, it's a specialized therapy that our every staff member on that floor is trained to do. It keeps our residents from building stress and frustration. So we look for those signs and catch them early and then redirect. And we have music therapy, video therapy, stimulating therapy, and then a memory prop box. And so overall, it helps with a reduction in falls. It has a large increase in the the value of and the value of life and the quality of life for not only the residents, but also for their families, so that when they come to visit, their visits are better as well. Our activities department, we have divided into two groups, one for memory care and then one for all of our other residents. And when we do big activities, we bring everyone together. And then our memory care activities are specifically designed for our residents with dementia, Alzheimer's, and moderate to severe memory impairments. So I invite you to come out to Kansas Masonic Home, even if you just want to take a tour down History Hall. We have a history hall dating back to 1896, and I'd be happy to show you that. So hope you have a wonderful day and hope to see you at some time.
You've heard plenty enough from me, but that just reminded me also photography. I have a friend who recently retired out in California, and he's a bird watcher, and he's part of the Audubon Society. And I mean, I get pictures. He travels all over the place. I get pictures on my computer of flamingos and peacocks from all over the place. He's incorporating his love of bird watching, being out in nature, and also photography. Again, it's wabi-sabi. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's what makes you happy, and I get to see the flamingos. He texted me a couple of days ago, and he said, "You're not going to believe this. I just saw a California gnat snatcher. I'm sending you pictures." Right? So we can do that, too. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I just wanted you to have an idea that, and I think they were a little shy on what they shared, but we have professionals all over the city that are putting on activities all the time. And so it's just a matter of figuring out how to plug in, maybe following them on social media or getting on their mailing list so you can be invited to all the fun parties and things that they do. And so that's, free fun that they've planned where they bring in people like Ray to entertain, or someone like Shanna to teach urban pole walking, or Brian. His team dresses up for every single holiday, and they go around as a big band and go all over the place. And so there's a lot of wonderful people working to enrich lives. And so Ray mentioned his friend with the photography and the bird watching. That reminds me of the Corvette Club. My mom has a friend that's in a Corvette Club. You wouldn't believe all the stuff that they do. It's just really a great social life sometimes when you plug in to an organization. They go on all kinds of really fun things and become really tight friends and welcoming new people all the time. There's a lot of different clubs like that. So let's open it up. What are some of the clubs or activities that you're involved in or that you're aware of and maybe you might like to know more about? Who can share? I knew you two would not let me down. Queen Connie.
Well, you think I'm going to talk about Red Hats, I know, which I usually do. And it's a great organization to belong to. If you're under 50, you're a pink hatter. If you're over 50, you're a red hatter. We do all kinds of fun things. There are like 26 groups here in Wichita and Derby and Hayesville, all around. And they're really fun to get involved with. You make lifelong friends. Clyda is in Red Hats in Derby, and Bonnie is in a group in the east, in Wichita, but in one part, and Dixie and I are in another part, and Suzanne's back here is in another one. So there's a lot of Red Hatters here. Yeah, no, she's not a Red Hatter. But what I was going to tell you about is there are a lot of, like the Forum and the Orpheum, where you can go and volunteer as ushers, working in the concession. They are so much fun, and you sign up and go when you want to go. You're not restricted to go a number of times, but it's fun. I have ushered at the Orpheum and the Forum for, 5-6 years, and it's just super. But plus you get to see the shows free, which is a real plus. And I've seen you at the Forum, I know, and they have excellent plays, and you just won't believe, and you meet such great people, and you get to, you meet everybody, and of course I'm a people person, so I love it.
Awesome. And people that love other people will go out and seek those things. And then we have other people like, I don't know if I really like people or want to go to things. But what we hear, like in retirement communities, is sometimes introverts become extroverts. And I just heard a story lately where a daughter called to check on her mom, and they said, well, she went on the bus. She what? She couldn't believe her mother was participating in activities. So it really does make your life sunnier and brighter to participate in things. Dixie.
Yes, I'm Dixie McGee, and I'm in charge of the ushering for the Forum. So if any of you are interested, would you see me and I'll write you down phone number, get you started. There'll be a new season starting soon. I also belong to what we call ACAP, and that's active aging, air capital of active people. That's what it is. Anyway, we it's a nonprofit travel group, and so if you're interested in that, you might see me, and I'll give you information as to how you can become a member of that.
Thank you very much. And I got to go there one time, and it's a really great group. Yeah. So there's lots of things to plug into. Sally.
Yes, I'm Sally, and I go to a lot of the things on Senior Wednesday. Almost all of them are free. All of them are interesting places, educational. Not some of them even have activities, but they're like I said, they're free. There's 2 every Wednesday, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. You can just go to the ones that you want to, and I just think it's a real treasure in Wichita.
And where do they hold those at? The art museum?
They hold them at every Wednesday. There are 2 different places: the art museum, the Botanica, the World Treasury Museum, the water department. Anyhow, there's so many that the aviation museum is on Thursday. They don't have enough room for all the people. Nature Center, that's a beautiful one to go to. And it's just, like I said, it's available, it's free, it's for anybody 65 and older, and a lot of fun.
Great. Thank you so much. Ballroom dancing. Somebody volunteered you. Do you ballroom dance? Okay, where do you ballroom dance?
The Lux Ballroom.
The Lux Ballroom. And where are other places that people can go to learn dancing or to just go to a dance?
There's a studio called A Step Ahead. There's Sway. Those are the ones that I know of for ballroom.
Okay, thank you. Mother. She skipped lunch with the bishop today to come, so I feel very honored.
I've been going to the venue at 3130. It's on just past Zoo Boulevard on Central. Monday nights they have dancing. We're learning a West Coast swing and East Coast swing, and it changes monthly. And it's a lot of fun. On Sunday nights they have dances. It's intermittent right now because of the weddings, but they've had live bands. The last band I heard was the Boomers. They were a lot of fun. And they have a DJ coming up in a couple of weeks and another live band next month. So you might check it out. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I love live music. What about you guys? Jillian Ambrose, our daughter, and she is working on her certified senior housing professional designation, which I think is awesome. She sings in the Annie Up Band, and she's singing tonight at 6:30 at the East Meadows. And there's a lot of bands in town that you can figure out where they're playing, and it might be a restaurant venue, and it's just free to go to. Order a little something, tip your server. So it's that easy. The musicians like tips. Who knew? How many people dance? I know we have a few. Good. Dancing is so good for you. And Delno, our photographer and local actor who's in movies all the time, he also teaches dancing, right? At Sway. Okay, very good. All right, what have we not talked about? Or do you have something in addition to share? Who enjoys hobbies? Let's hear about your hobbies. And Carolyn Scott, that's a setup for Carl. I'm getting him. but I know a lot of you have hobbies.
I was just going to say, if you're looking for volunteer opportunities, I've got a couple more I can throw out there. I'm involved with a group called Victory in the Valley. It's a cancer support group, and they are always looking for volunteers. Their main location is up near Douglas and Hillside, but they always need people to come in and, I don't know, help do mailings, things in the office. There is a hospitality room at St. Francis, which is what I do. And they don't just throw you in and say, go do this. You are mentored, and so you learn it till you're comfortable with it. And you get the opportunity to go and give snacks to people and just talk. So, and we all like to talk, right? So another opportunity would be the American Red Cross. So you can volunteer in the canteen. They're always looking for people to go to blood drives, sit and register people, hand them pamphlets. Again, opportunities to visit and get to know people. So.
Okay. Who are hobbyists? Or do you know where people can go to learn, to practice painting and things? And you do woodworking.
My name's Carl, and my hobbies is intarsia, Intarsia. It's called painting with wood. You get a pattern, and it's scroll saw. You cut it out and shape it and glue it together. And a lot of people say that intarsia is, well, the wood's so expensive anymore. Well, you get green wood or you get blue wood and you get brown or gray or whatever. But I use stain because it's a lot cheaper. My problem is perfectionism. I can see all the flaws. But just like that cup up there that was on there, So that's it.
And how special is it to receive or to give a gift like that? So when you do things for other people, it lifts you up. And so that's why we're talking about volunteering. And so if there's things that you'd like to do volunteer-wise, there are people here in the room. We also have a form out back on that table where you can fill out social activities and volunteer ideas that you might like to participate in or that you're aware of that we should know of. So give us some feedback on that. You can also put that on your seminar evaluation. I would love to get your feedback on today's seminar and just our whole program. So anything that you'll provide to us will help us improve as we go, and we really do appreciate that. All right, any other ideas? Awesome, thank you, Jim.
Several years ago, we moved back to town. We'd been living in Las Vegas, and I volunteered out in Vegas driving people to their appointments. I was working for the Cancer Society out there, volunteering, and I got in with the Red Cross here, and this place right here that we're in, I wanted to do some gardening and stuff, and I thought this would be a good thing to get involved with over here at Botanica. So I went down and I signed up, and the girl that was taking names that day said, "Oh, you signed up just in time. We're getting ready to plant 40,000 tulips." And I thought, oh my God, they must have some automatic equipment. No, they don't. You're on your hands and knees. And it is wonderful. It's just a great place to volunteer your time. They appreciate it, and everybody that walks through the gardens here appreciates it.
Thank you for mentioning that. Botanica, a great place to volunteer. And please share with Botanica that you like our program if you do, and that you appreciate the fact that they help us spread the word a little bit and that they enable us to rent this room every month. So I know you have some interesting workshops going on and some very interesting people sometimes that do things. So tell people what you do. You put workshops on. Now this is interesting. I took her to lunch one day with some of our colleagues. They were all about falling off the chairs trying to hear what she was talking about.
Well, you caught me off guard. I'm a forensic handwriting expert. I work with...
Yeah, just put it real close to your mouth and talk loud.
I'm a forensic handwriting expert, and I put on seminars to teach people what they need to learn in their handwriting to look for criminals, to know if you're sitting next to a psychopath, or what you need to do in your journals to help you health-wise. So I put seminars on for that to help people. So yeah, I tell a lot of interesting stories. I've had a lot of, with what I do, pretty good clients. Some of them serial killers and other things like that. So yeah, I put on fun stuff. Well, for some. Anyway, but that's what I do.
So that's pretty interesting. You never know who you might have in the room. So she's helped find serial killers, keeping the world safe with forensic handwriting. And you are a fossil hunter.
That is correct. I'm a well-known paleontologist, basically worldwide. Our partner found the world's largest Tyrannosaurus rex, the world's smallest baby Bob, and we have planning upcoming episodes for fossil hunting. We have a sizzle reel for network TV, and we're wanting to do something with Channel 8.
Yes, you are. So there's like real serious fossil hunters here locally, and usually you go hunt on private property. Is that right?
That's correct. We have to have permission for everywhere we go, and everything has to be approved, and a percentage is paid to the landowner with the lease on our finds, and we end up giving many of our fossils to museums for public education worldwide.
Very good. So if you've always wanted to be a dinosaur hunter, talk to Rob.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, did any of that bring up any more contributions? Anyone have a question for someone on the panel? All right, we've got a hand up here. Gosh, we did intermission and a real discussion today. I'm like pretty impressed.
Well, I'm from Valley Center, and recently one of the people there decided that they were going to put on an artists and authors show, and they used the community center up there, which didn't cost anything, and they just asked for volunteers, and we had authors, we had painters, we had photographers, we had pottery people, we had people showing all kinds of things, and it was really something. The interesting thing about this, it can be done by general neighborhoods. If you have, well, I was thinking about over in Riverside, some of the park buildings and that kind of thing. A group could put something like that together, and just to have the people in the area who are authors or have written something, or want to even get into, as Ray was talking about, the storytelling, that kind of thing, and it can be a great thing. We, small town of Valley Center, I bet we had 600 people there. It was a big deal, and we just made some posters and put them around, and everybody showed up. And it's amazing the talent there is in people that are just at home fooling around.
Oh, I was just going to let you wrap it up, but okay. So while he was talking, I went and checked the tables right here, and they are really contributing valuable education pieces, so be sure to grab it. Go see Pam back here with Providence Home Health and Hospice, and get this sheet on what are the signs of stroke in men and women. Thank you for your volunteerism and for your work in bringing valuable contributions every time and financially supporting us. It's National Stroke Awareness Month. And so there's an acronym on here, FAST, Face, Arms, Speech, Time. So go get your sheet, and I'm sure Pam can tell you all about that. Curious about residential assisted living? Would you rather live in a home or a community? There's some interesting information here from Comfort and Love. The KMH history going back to 1889, it's really a beautiful building to see. And so this is a real detailed piece telling you all the interesting history. Tell us just a couple of wild things, history from KMH.
So I'll give you two examples that are usually people's favorites. At one point, Kansas Masonic Home was actually an orphanage. So it's been an orphanage, it's been a school, it's been an infirmary. Then, of course, for a long period of time, only Masons and their families were allowed to live there. And in the 80s, we opened to the public. So anyone can live at Kansas Masonic Home. In 1916, there was a large fire. And back then, fires were put out with basically a little wagon. And there is one of the wagons that was used to put that fire out in a museum. And it actually burned the entire community down with the exception of our chapel that was built in 1906. So our chapel is still original, which always gives me goosebumps when I talk about it. But it's just amazing. And of course, now we have sprinklers and fire doors and all of this, great stuff that they didn't have at that time. But those are some interesting things about Kansas Masonic Home.
Okay, so after everything that you've heard, let's have you each share one more thing. And Shanna, could you demonstrate for us the pole walking? Also known as what? Oh, Vanna. So that's what pole walking is, but there's a technique to learn. And the benefit is that it's a full body workout and it improves your posture. So it takes some of the weight off of your knees and hips and low back.
I have a question. You had everybody sign in, right? Yes. Okay, are you going to have your handwriting expert evaluate their handwriting?
What a great idea. I'm not sure that we have the necessary disclaimer, so we will not share your handwriting samples. But that was a great idea. I like the way your brain works. All right, final thoughts.
I just had one that came to mind. Somebody had mentioned Victory in the Valley, and that reminded me that I need to tell everybody we are doing our second annual poker run. It's last year we had to change the name anyway, but we're doing a poker run. It's to benefit Victory in the Valley. We're actually having a meeting on it tonight at Barron's Bar and Grill from 6 to 7 o'clock tonight, just to kind of get everybody who's participating in that poker run up to speed in what we're doing. If anybody has any crafts that you'd like to donate for a live auction or a silent auction, anything like that you might want to do, all the proceeds. Last year, I think we raised a little over $5,000. We're looking to double that this year to go back to Victory in the Valley. All the money stays local.
Yeah, that's really cool. And, some of these events, they have really incredible prizes and auction items. So you'd be surprised what they can put together. Stacy from Senior Services. Senior Services is where you can go also to find out about employment opportunities for seniors. This is a nonprofit, and their focus is helping seniors. And so they do the Meals on Wheels and Roving Pantry. They can provide 100% of someone's nutrition. They also have a whole department that's focused on helping people find employment. And then all the fun stuff, too.
And I wanted to invite everyone to a Senior Fun Carnival night. Remember when you used to have cakewalks and Carnival Day at elementary school? Well, we're doing that for seniors at our Linwood Center, and it is open to the public on, it's on June 24th from 5 to 7. If you'd like to stop by and get a little bit more information from me, I'll have that stuff back there by the table, as well as our monthly compass that has all of the activities that we do each month. This is for the month of May. So if you're interested, stop by the table and see me. And how can they receive the newsletter in the mail? Do you mail some out? We mail them to our members, but they are on our website. So if you Google Wichita Senior Services of Wichita.org, it is on there as well. Like I said, it's only $35 annually to be a member, and you can go to all 4 centers. And so when you pay the $35, does that give you pickleball for free? Yep. Yeah, pickleball, arts and crafts, journaling, saging techniques, believe it or not. That's a new one. Needlepoint, dancing, cardio drumming with Brian, jewelry making with Des. So, yes.
I am going to walk away with there's so many opportunities out in the community, so just want to spread the word, and feel free to come visit me out at the villa. We have a lot of activities going on as well. We do everything that's been listed, and we go out in the community and choose restaurants, all kinds of fun things going on. We have a lot of speakers come in, so everyone is welcome to that anytime. You can come see me at the table back there, and I can get your email or your mailing address and send out activity calendars so that hopefully you'll come in and see us.
I'm fairly new to Wichita. I've been here almost a year now. Moved here from Reno, Nevada. And what I've seen today is just the wealth of opportunities here for all of us to do something, do anything that you're interested in. My passion is photography, so I've been to Orchard Park Senior Center last week and did photos for the seniors for Mother's Day. So that, pick up your cell phone and just take shots. They don't have to be great. They're memories that you're creating. But anything you can do, anything you're interested in, just get out there and do it. What a great community we have here.
I'm also fairly new to Wichita. My husband's in the Air Force, and we moved here in November of 2019, right before COVID hit. And then COVID hit, and we couldn't go anywhere. So something that I'm going to take away is I love swing dancing. My husband can't dance. I am going to take him, and we are going to do dancing lessons together. So something at KMH that we're doing, just to touch on really quickly this summer, we also are a nonprofit, and we received donations last year to open a dog park. So we did do that. And with COVID, we couldn't have a big public event, and we're hoping that we're able to have a big public event this summer where everyone can bring their dogs, and we always welcome visiting pets, and we accept pets. And the pets that we accept, there's no weight limit, there's no breed restriction as long as they're socialized. We also don't charge extra for pets. So bring your little furry loved ones, and we'll love them too.
Just quickly, I wanted to say to the forensics handwriting expert, before email, no one ever wrote you a letter, did they? You never got letters. Okay. Oh, okay. So what the lady just said, look how easy it is today in our lives to be a photographer with just your phone. Or like I said, go online and find any information you want, or publish your story, or send pictures of California gnat snatchers to your friends. It's so easy now, so we should take advantage of that, right? And I want you to know I'll be appearing later in my living room. But this weekend I'm going to see some of my friends at Mosley Street Melodramas down in Old Town. That's another fun thing to do. Grab a friend and go out and do something this weekend. And good luck and thank you.
Thank you. What a great way to cap it off. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Delno, let's get a group photo, and then you can rush anybody in this room and ask them questions. The questions you were too shy to ask or you didn't get a chance to ask, be sure to do that. Next month, we're going to do the truth about retirement community living and get the inside scoop. We are going to hear from seniors next month that live in independent living communities, and they're going to tell you the pros and cons and their experience. So they're going to be the ones that have been there, done that, and they're going to share the inside story. We also have been hearing complaints that when people go to senior living communities, there's not enough information on the website. There aren't floor plans and prices. Well, they want you to come in and get that, but we're going to start gathering that, and we're going to share a lot of that information with you next month. So thank you again. I hope that you will come in June. And even if we have a topic that you think, I don't know, that doesn't seem to apply to me, we do a pretty good job usually of delivering something interesting and unexpected. Did you have anything new to think about today? Okay. Please fill out your evaluations and let us know what you liked, what you'd like to hear another time, and what actions you might take as a result of this. So, okay. Join us for walking. So if you would like to go with the walkers outside, you're welcome to do that. And that will get you going through the gardens, which I think is awesome. We appreciate you doing that. Your garden admission is free when you come to the seminars, so make the most out of it. And thank you so much. See you next month.